talking to the original tag team of ugly pukes here.
It's Cattles. It's Ramie.
Sactown Sports 1140.
All right, time to talk to our guy, Frankie Cartoscelli from Sactown Sports, SactownSports.com. Frankie is on the Folsom Lake Honda hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop. And Frankie, before we get to the King stuff, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about Kyrie Irving. Do you think he's done in Brooklyn, or will he return and still be a Net this season?
Fellas, happy Friday, first of all, and then to get into that part of today's news. Yeah, it's definitely a circus. I'd be pretty, I'd say, not unsurprised if they do go that route. I mean, it's going to definitely depend on how he approaches this when he returns and what he says to the media, because as we saw how yesterday's media session went, it was an absolute nightmare for the Nets. I think that they probably had an idea that he would come out and say the complete opposite of what he said, take a different stance. And the fact that he refused to even kind of even hint towards the fact that we don't know what the fact he is or not anti-Semitic, but didn't take a stance on it. And he's going to be missing out on some money here in some games. And this is the first time he's had to have his wallet hurt over everything, the COVID stuff. Now with everything going on with the social media and the way he's reacting to all this backlash, it's going to be interesting to see how it all pans out. But we're at a turning point in the Kyrie Irving era, and we'll see how it kind of pans out over the next week or so.
I want to get right to the Kings because I'm tired of talking about Kyrie. We were asking earlier in the show if Kings fans are okay with moral victories, and nobody came out and said moral victory. We played Domas alluding to a moral victory. Do you get the sense that guys in that locker room, Mike Brown and his coaching staff, are in the business of moral victories, or is it already about more than that?
No, it's to me, it's definitely, and I think to the guys in the locker room, and definitely to fans on all social media, it's the time for moral victories it's long past. And well, you look at a game like Wednesday night, and you can say, okay, that was a hard fought game. That was in my opinion, a good basketball game. It was hard fought. There was no point differential greater than 2 points through every quarter. It was neck and neck. And that last shot from Tyler Hero, you have to kind of wonder if Kevin Huerter is taking that shot, do the referees call a travel on him? It's just kind of like that idea that is Sacramento kind of behind the eight ball in scenarios like that, because of the fact that they are the Sacramento Kings and they have that track record of being a losing team for the better part of 2 decades. So games like that, they hurt no matter how you slice it. They sting. And the guys want to win games. I mean, this team wants to win. Mike Brown, like you said a couple weeks ago, he didn't come here to lose basketball games. He came here to win, which is a pretty bold statement for a Sacramento Kings head coach to make. But a guy like Mike Brown, who's won pretty much everywhere he's been, and some of these guys they brought in, like Kevin Huerter, who's been on playoff teams, Domantas Sabonis, been on playoff teams, they want to win. And as we know, the clock's ticking for this team, because Domantas Sabonis has 2 years on his contract. If the Kings can't put together some winning teams here, that Tyrese Halliburton trade will have been made for nothing, and that's the absolute worst case scenario for this franchise. And the time for moral victories has passed. I know that the fan base is over those, and I know the team is as well.
Frankie Cartoscelli with us. Frankie, what's the latest on De'Aaron Fox?
As we saw, I don't know if anyone checked on their Twitter accounts lately, but Jason Anderson, good friend of ours, he reported that he did fully participate in practice. He still is questionable on the injury report, but based on the fact that he was a full participant, I would say he's more than likely to suit up tomorrow. That's just my hunch. Obviously, they're going to be very careful with him. Bone bruises are a very kind of they're a pesky injury. You don't really, they're different for every scenario. I was just talking to Domantas Sabonis last year. He had a bone bruise on his knee that looked very scary when it happened. He missed the final 2-3 weeks of the season. Fox is he's a quick healer. He had a very high grade ankle sprain a couple seasons ago. They expect him to be out for, I think, a month plus. He was back within 2.5 weeks. So he's a notoriously quick healer. I would imagine he'd be back tomorrow. And if not tomorrow, for sure for the game at Golden State on Monday. But they need him. They need De'Aaron Fox to win these games here.
With Fox out, we saw a more decisive, aggressive, and productive Sabonis than we've seen so far in this season. Is that a coincidence, or does Fox not being out there just leave a little bit more room for Sabonis to work?
You know, I think it just comes down to Sabonis staying on the floor and staying in the rhythm of the game. And that's something that hasn't really happened this season. Coming in to Wednesday night's game, he was leading the NBA in fouls per game, which that can't happen for your second best player on the team. And even with Fox out there, we've seen these two play well together. in the limited time they've been on the floor over the past. I think it's now a combined maybe 20 games they've played together since he came to Sacramento. But just staying on the floor. And Sabonis stayed out of foul trouble. He entered halftime with 0 fouls last game. That was huge. And ended the game with 2. And that just is something that needs to happen going forward, because especially if De'Aaron Fox is unavailable, you need to have your second best player in Domantas Sabonis out there. And he kind of acts as your a point guard, like a point center, 8 assists. And he's first on the team in assists right now. It's just, if you don't have Sabonis or Fox out there, and we saw the Kings close out 2 games against Miami at home, and then in Charlotte on the road, they closed out 2 games without Sabonis and Fox. And that's a great sign. But you want those guys out there more than not. And just the fact that Sabonis was out there getting comfortable, it looked like his offense was working. He hit his first 3 of the season. I know that's been a huge talking point, the fact that he was getting some working on that shot and hasn't really been there. Just getting him on the floor and consistently, the fact that he played 37 minutes too is huge. He needs to be on the floor in these games.
Frankie Cartoscelli is on the Folsom Lake Honda hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop. Frankie, of course, from our very own SactownSports.com. Frankie, Kevin Huerter, better than you expected?
Oh my goodness, yes. And that was honestly something that I talked about with Chris Watkins yesterday, just the fact that when he was acquired, I think that's maybe the best case scenario we envisioned was a version of Buddy Hield that wouldn't turn the ball over and could kind of have a handle and create his own offense. And what we're seeing from Kevin Huerter, the way that he is knocking down threes, 50% on the season right now, but the way that he's doing it and creating his own shot, getting space from defenders off the dribble, that's something that we aren't used to seeing here from our 2 guards. And the fact that also he's able to distribute the basketball. He's 4th in the team in assists per game right now. He's able to play the 2 or the 3. It's just a very exciting time for this team as far as you see a lot of trades made over the years. And this is one that I think, again, it's been very early in the season, but I think it's going to pay dividends for this team. And the fact that he's under contract for 4 more years, and when that new CBA gets locked in, his $17 million, $15 million over the next 4 years, it's going to be a bargain. And I think the fact that he's able to play so well along Fox and play alongside Sabonis, and the fact that they're on the same kind of age group here, 24 to 26 years old, the Kings now have that core that they can build around. And Kevin Huerter has exceeded expectations. I don't think he's going to shoot 50% from the field and from 3 the entire year, but he's been a difference maker and a guy that can be a legitimate threat from beyond the arc. So I've been very impressed from Kevin. The headband's clearly working, and he definitely should stick with it for the time being.
Yeah, there has to be some regression or coming back down. Like you say, he's not going to shoot 50% from 3 the whole year. But that aside, how deep into the season before we dismiss this as just some anomaly and go, oh no, this is who this guy is when in this role?
I always like to look at seasons as far as when I start kind of taking when I start kind of weighing things seriously. 15 to 20 games, you kind of know what team you have or what players are going to be doing what. And if Kevin Huerter is playing like this at game 20, I would say, yeah, maybe this is a version of him that no one's seen before, because he played in Atlanta alongside Trae Young, who was taking a lot of shots. Bogdan Bogdanovic was playing over there. They have John Collins. They have a lot of talent in Atlanta. Kevin Huerter was kind of a Harrison Barnes-esque role right now, the 4th, 5th option, not really getting as many shots as he probably wanted. Just even looking over his last couple of seasons, the most he's ever attempted in a season from 3-point line is 6 attempts per game. He's already at 8 right now, and a career high 12 attempts from the field. So he's getting more shots off because he has the opportunity to do it. The Kings are encouraging him to shoot it. Mike Brown wants him to keep shooting. And why wouldn't you? He's knocking down 3 seemingly every time he lets the ball fly.
Thanks, Frankie. We'll talk to you next week, my man.
Fellas, enjoy your weekend.
You too.
Thanks, Frank.
There goes Frankie Cartoscelli, SactownSports.com. He was on the Folsom Lake Honda hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop. NFL picks coming up.